Today's sponsor of the Vision Quest podcast is 920 Hat Company. Leather patch hats are in, and 920 Hat Company is here to hook you up with your very own custom hat. All patches are lasered on top-grade genuine leather and on popular brand hats like Richardson and FlexFit. Whether you're looking to show off your business or want a one-of-a-kind hat for yourself, 920 Hat Company can do it all. All the hats are handcrafted right in the Fox Valley, but worn across America. With over 500 hats in stock, they guarantee fast turnaround times. Honestly, Liam, looking at these hats, solid, right?
Yeah, they're pretty. I like them.
I like that patch itself.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one-of-a-kind stuff. I know his name's Trevor. He does great work. He's actually gotten I think we got a knit hat coming.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we got that coming. So we're really excited to have these guys on board as a sponsor. So get down to check them out on Facebook. I believe they're on Instagram. Check them out, man. They got the best hats, I think, in the Fox Valley, if not in the state.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So get down to 920 Hat Company on social media and check them out. Okay, everyone. It was a little while. It was something I wanted to do a little bit sooner, but he got busy. We all got busy. But we're back with Terre. This is round two with Terre with Lucas Steldt.
Yeah.
Talking all kinds of international wrestling, mainly Greco, but we do talk about, obviously we might talk about the women a little bit with freestyle, because I noticed some cool stuff this weekend as far as who was wrestling where, and it was mainly just one, but I really wanted to touch on with you because I still think this is absolutely amazing and flabbergasting that we have a sport within this sport, Greco wrestling. It has no international coach. Currently at the time, I know Ivan Ivanov was there, and we also know Matt Lindland, I believe, was there at one point. So the rifling through of these coaches seems kind of odd to me. So I wanted to talk to Lucas about it a little bit, and we're going to touch on some other stuff too. But so this coaching situation, Lucas, I'm a little, I wouldn't say concerned, but I'm confused here. I'm confused as to, number one, how we've gone through, two coaches already, within the 6-month span of whenever they were replaced and things like that. And now we just have no coach. Why are we having no coaches, especially when these guys are going to competitions, or most are going to a competition? They have, maybe their RTC coach, but we don't even have a USA Olympic wrestling team coach. What's the deal with that?
Well, it's like podcast fans. Yeah. But they do it. Was that Joe Rogan podcast? They said there's somebody their podcast one time was like a day long thing or something, or
7 hours.
Like sometimes you how much?
So I think it was 7 or 8 hours they did a podcast for.
Yeah. It's like, who's listening to that?
Let's do that.
But yeah, so that's one of those conversations.
Yeah.
Well, so what's going on? I kind of go backwards. I go what's going on right now and go back into it.
Yeah.
So right now, Herb House is the acting head coach, or he is the head coach, or he is the coach. Okay. So he's not acting; he's doing it.
Yep.
And they were gonna, from what from the contact from people I heard, that something I can talk about is he was gonna be a co-head coach, or like a co-coach. They're gonna hire 2 coaches. They usually typically have 3 people,
sure,
2 or 3 people. They usually have the head coach, they have like an assistant coach, right? Yep. And then they have a developmental coach.
Okay.
And we had Gary Mayhab, and we had Matt Lindland. We had Matt Lindland, Gary Mayhab, and Mohammed. I can't say his last name; it's an Egyptian name. Can't say it.
Sure, yeah.
Before that, we had Momir and all this, and Steve Frazier. And so what had happened was, just going from now backwards, is everybody got fired, or resigned, or however you want to call it,
whatever they chose to do. Yeah,
they're not there. Yeah, they're not there.
Yep.
And because you know how that can go.
Yeah.
So then they're looking for doing it, and they had posted, and I had heard this, and they had posted that they are not going to seek to replace anybody in the role of the head coach. And I'm like, okay, well, is that a financial thing? Is that in my mind, I read it, I'm like, well, okay, let's say you have 3 coaching positions.
Yeah.
And you hire one person to come turn the lights on. Well, he's pretty much the head coach. You know? I mean, what else is he?
Yeah.
Let me go talk to that coach. Like, well, that office is empty.
Yeah.
It's like, so I mean, it's kind of almost like just a label or a title over anything else.
Really?
Even being the head coach, And, obviously I've been around enough of it now for a long time, and and everybody knows this. Being the head coach, you're not really a coach.
Sure,
you're a facilitator.
You're an office manager.
You're an office manager, facilitator. You're like that PR person that they interview, for the White House. That's
right.
That's what you're doing. I mean, you're showing some technique at camps and stuff, and I'm like, and honestly, when I brought Matt in, I brought Matt in for I don't know how many camps.
Yeah,
and he's by far and I brought people in for folk style, freestyle. I brought people in, I'm doing this but since 2004 full time.
Yeah.
I've never had a better clinician, a more organized clinician than Matt Lindland. When he came in, he emailed me a packet. Everybody got a packet. They had to fill it in. He did classroom work. He did video work. I mean, when our camps were 3 or 4 days long because you had to be, because you had an hour of actual classroom work every day.
Wow.
So he was trying to do that as well. So maybe something happened there. But to go back here, so Herb House is the acting coach or the coach right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what his financial commitment from USA Wrestling is for what his title actually is. I think he's just, I think he's the head coach. Okay. I think that's where he's going with right now.
Right.
And then so the next coach, John, would be assistant coach. There's nobody there. Then the next coach would be the developmental coach. Nobody's there.
Okay.
And then they have the general manager position would be a fourth position,
Jesus.
But it sounds like that was never there. That was just that was an organized idea brought up slashed by USA Wrestling.
Threw it out there.
Yeah. And for whatever reasons. And so they hired a guy named Ivan Hoff to fill that position.
Yeah.
Kind of like an overseer.
Sure.
And what had happened, he had come in and said, and this is printed word.
Yeah.
I can say it is printed word.
Yep.
By his recommendation that they should, dispose of Matt Lindland and the coaching staff. And so, so they did. And then, and so,
that sounds weird.
I think I read that somewhere. I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere.
Sure.
I'm 100% positive I read that in USA Wrestling Release.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just, and I know Matt. Know Matt just because he's been the coach.
Yeah.
If Matt never was USA Wrestling Coach, I never would have known him. But so I talked to Matt afterwards about it. But I can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But so then he came in and took over. Ivan did took coaching duties over, and then at that time they had a informational piece out. USA Wrestling. They're going to seek. Maybe it was just rumor or just talking amongst us all that they're going to seek for a head coaching job. Maybe they printed this, that they're going to seek for a head coaching position post-Worlds, Senior Worlds, because it was so close to Senior Worlds at that time that Matt and Mohammed were resigned.
Yeah.
And so, and I think they were advertising or taking, I think immediately they're taking, not immediately, but they're taking applications for the developmental one and assistant one.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Gary Mayhab was in there, but he had left way before this.
Yeah, because he had gotten that high school coaching job down in Missouri, I think.
Yeah, he was going to do something in Missouri, and they actually thought he should be part of Greco. And long story short, ended up in Iowa coaching women's wrestling with Chung, which is pretty cool for him.
That is pretty cool, yeah.
So, and I think it's really good for women's wrestling because he's a Greco guy and all that stuff. But so with that said, now where we're at right now is we just have Herb House. Herb House has been around a long time, so he's doing. And Herb House will do a great job. Herb House is extremely, uber extremely successful.
Okay.
When it comes to business, and as an athlete, he was too. But more importantly, in this position is in business and organization and people skills and all that kind of stuff. You talk to Herb House, he's gonna make you feel important. No matter who you are. So he's really good about that. So then already he runs a big business, and somehow he's finding time to email me back. And I'm in Blue, Wisconsin with 403 people. So
and hopefully he can do a little like marketing and be able to at least entice people a little bit more to not only just joining a club but just get into the sport itself, Greco, because even right now when I talk to guys that are coming in, and just athletes, just them alone. Like you talk about some of the post high school stuff they want to do. Not everybody's like, I'm going to go to college and wrestle and stuff like that. But you bring up Greco and there's still just like, I wouldn't wrestle Greco. And it's like, okay, well, you're not looking to do this. So it makes sense. You're not looking to accomplish. So, you kind of make sense of it all. But at the same point though, too, like anytime you ask someone about Greco now, you still get a chuckle, like kind of like, oh, well, I mean, no one really does it. Like, well, it's for a reason because nobody's got the balls to go out and do it.
Yeah, well, the number one, that's a whole other, we talked about last time with Liam a little bit, and the shortest super answer in like three, four words is, like you just said, not a single American. When I say a single American, I'm talking like there's maybe there's probably three of us.
Yeah.
Four.
You can.
There's probably 3 or 4 human beings in the United States of America educated enough to teach wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling. I shouldn't say educated enough, but it seems like it. I'm probably wrong on that, but it just seems like it. Because it doesn't matter if you're educated. I mean, you can be the smartest guy in the world, but if you ain't helping Coach Greco or promote it, you ain't helping us.
Right.
There's only I'll say 3 or 4 of us actually in the whole entire United States that's involved in the sport at any capacity, any sports capacity, promoting Greco-Roman wrestling and getting kids on the mat and literally training them and trying to give them the correct path.
I thought
I'll say this. And out of that, I'm the only one in the United States doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that's a whole lot. And I'm in Blue River, Wisconsin, and I had talked about, and there's been some, we talked about that before too. So that's why.
Yeah.
That's like, why is when people go for gymnastics? Well, because it's a very obscure sport. It's not fancy.
Sure.
It's hard. And so that's a whole other conversation. But we have to remember one thing. Americans got to sit down a little bit and shut up.
Yeah.
Americans, and this is what a foreigner will sell you. This is to do with wrestling.
Yeah.
An American could go to any foreign country and see something completely useless and make $1 billion out of it. That's what we're good at. We can come and do something. I think we invented bottled water.
True. Yeah.
We'll probably invent bottled air pretty soon and sell it.
Yeah.
And so we are really good. I mean, think about it. You know what America is, and I know people hate to say this, but I'm totally anti. I'm all about guns, and I'm all about that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
Dude, we invented Walmart. We invented fast food.
Yeah.
We invented Walmart with free electric scooters to drive around and buy groceries so you can induce your diabetes coma some more. That's what America is. We invented, come on.
It's very true. I know.
Why do people do certain sports? Why did they invent baseball and basketball and other sports? Why do they wear more pads in football?
Yeah.
Why don't they wear no pads like rugby?
Rugby, yeah, exactly. That's a pretty primitive.
Why isn't soccer more popular? People, they say it's for wimps. Okay, they have them videos of soccer, but they run like 40 miles a game. It's a huge thing. It's a hard sport.
All they do.
It's cross-country running is supposed to be the hardest sport in the world. Cross-country running is supposed to be the most mentally demanding activity a human can do because it's like a 3.5 miles, wherever it is in kilos,
Really?
Sprint. Yeah. If you read anything, it says the mentally toughest sport in the world. And so, if you talk, and I could go back on it. So generally, Americans they're not hard workers. They were hard workers.
Oh man!
But generally, we try to make money off of nothing. We try to do all kinds of things. And I should say, we really try to better. We're trying to make things better.
Correct.
Honestly, we're trying to make bigger, faster cars. We invented the iPhone and all this stuff.
Right.
So I don't say being wimps, but generally, you go to a high school. Come on, what do we say in regular wrestling or the collegiate folk stuff?
Yep.
Oh, if you play basketball, you're a wimp. Oh, you do it.
Yeah.
So already at that level, people are like, "Why don't you go to wrestle?" Period. Folk style. I'm gonna wrestle. That looks like blah blah blah, and they say all this negative stuff.
Yep.
I'm gonna play basketball because that's on TV. So
Yeah.
Same thing with Greco. It's just what they're told. It's like being a Catholic versus a Protestant. It's the same crap. It's just what they grew up with. It's their education.
It's very true. Well, and you speak about the laziness too. I mean, that's just I think that's generational. It's getting worse. I mean, the people I work with right now, the new hires that we have coming in. So we work 10 hours overtime every week, right? Friday is overtime.
Yep.
And so you get these young guys that are coming in, and this is just the mentality of just the country in general. Like, this isn't even sports. This is just where we're at. These guys will come in and they'll work Monday through maybe Thursday, but because they make enough money, they're cozy with not coming in Thursday and Friday. So it's like, what the fuck? And then they show up the next week for like maybe 2 days, but then they come in the week after that and bitch about their check. And it's like, seriously, dude, like the payoff is the way it is because you put in what you put in. So
yeah.
Like, what the fuck? So yes, no, I agree. I agree. The mentality of this country is definitely starting to kind of go down. And other people can say, I'm not like, we're not talking about everyone. It's a large majority.
But the mass majority.
Yep.
Well, I'm in business and I deal with business all over the country.
Yeah.
And my cousin has 2 massive businesses in Milwaukee. I'm one on Highway 100, one up in Mequon still.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And they're going to shut one down.
Okay.
Because my uncle retired. He couldn't fill anybody up. It's a huge facility and they're paying people good money. People are making take home pay thousands of dollars a week.
Bank.
They can't. My cousin lost 2 employees. And they were starting them at $20 an hour. They're taking home $1,000 a week after like these incentives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And these guys quit, and it's in it because you had to get dirty. You had to work.
Of course.
You had to show up.
That's a job.
And they quit. He goes. I wanted to fire him anyways. So I couldn't afford to fire him because I needed him. He goes, but I can't even hire anybody.
Yeah.
You know what? Luke, he's older than me. And I talk to him almost daily.
Yeah.
Just about business. And he's like, how things going? We're so busy. Blah blah. He goes, what I'm doing. I'm building a new place, smaller place, and we're shutting all these down, selling them, or renting them out, or whatever.
Yep.
And I'm going to downsize because I can make less money and have 10 times less stress.
Yes.
Because I cannot. It's worse now than ever.
Yep.
And he told me though, he goes, this started with our company. He goes, this started with our company, because I can vividly remember back in the late 90s it starting.
Okay. Yep.
Like them, like the old people retire.
Yeah.
Because they would have people work for them like the entire their working life.
Right. Yep.
20 something, like 50 something, and retire or whatever. And or go start their own business, and stuff. And he goes, no, guys aren't quitting to start their own businesses. They're just quitting not to work.
Right.
And correct. So he goes, I seen that back in the 90s, late 90s, when people back then were just quitting to maybe to start their own business or doing their job or, do something a little easier. And then after a while people would come in, they want more money. Then it was, I'll give them more money. And then they only want to work 3 days a week, like you said. It's like, wait a minute, and then we started doing that. He goes, yeah, no, it's been a progression. Now we're to the point. He told me straight up, when COVID hit and we had that shutdown. Yeah. In my trade, we didn't shut down. So my trade, we didn't have to shut down. Mm-hmm. So I never had it. We never shut down. In fact, during my business, our business, and my trade, my business was never more busy than COVID. The COVID was the best thing for the business, except for the fact, part supply, other stuff.
Yeah. Time frames.
Otherwise, financially, it was good.
Yep.
Gross wise, not net wise so much. But with that said, anyway, he told me when COVID hit, though, and went through that situation, these people came in saying, we're not going to work.
Yep.
And then they started getting that money.
Soft
and
times.
It's not working. He goes, and he thinks, and we think, we're way off subject here, but anyways, he's like,
we'll bring it back.
They start getting money, and they're like, wait a minute, I can kind of live kind of happy not doing nothing.
Correct.
Yep. And now they figured out a way to make money online or some other way, and or
just to bring that extra revenue.
He goes, it's not adequate, but Lucas, he goes, we live in the biggest part of Wisconsin, and we can't find anybody.
Nope, because they're still living off of benefits. So that's we'll bring it back in this way. Soft times create soft men. So that's the time we're living in right now, is with soft people. And I mean, just in the sport alone, you notice it with people talking about how, well, we shouldn't have to do this and but that's part of the gig, man. Like, that's what it takes to get to where you're trying to go. And everybody's looking for that way around all the time. Like, just trying to kind of get around certain things. And to me, I think avoiding a subject or avoiding something now, and I'm older, I've learned, I've kind of, even in the past 10 years, I've grown mentally and just how I see things and how I think about things. It's not always easy. It's not always going to be easy. Even just me wanting to get up and some days put mail out in the mailbox. I don't want to do it, but I do it because you're taught to do it. That's what you do. But now, as we come into, and you think about how these kids are being raised from kindergarten on up, their parents are telling them they can do whatever they want, which is true. If you put your mind to it, you can do whatever you want. You still have to put your mind and work to it. Like, these kids seem to think that they can just walk in and, I want to make $25 an hour and I don't want to work 50 hours a week and this is what I'm owed. You're not owed anything. You're owed nothing. Yeah. So respect and all that stuff, as far as the, in coming up in the game, a lot of guys that you've listed that were coaches, as Greco coaches are extremely decorated. You know, that,
Yeah.
and so these are good men to have running a program. Are we running into just the sport in general where we're talking about soft men? This is a generalization, obviously. I'm not going to put you on the spot like that.
I think in folk style, folk style. Hold on, I can't talk about folk style right now because that's a whole other subject.
Yeah.
And I think folk style is coming to a huge issue coming up because and I think the folk style people do not see it, but I see it.
Sure.
Looking outside from Greco, because I'm way outside folk style. I literally have nothing to do with it.
Right.
But anyways, with that said is, and I could be wrong, maybe it'll grow, but it looks like it's shrinking to me. But with that said is, in Greco, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I know what's going on. And I think in the United States, so internationally, Greco's not shrinking.
Sure.
Internationally, Greco is, because what they did internationally is they said, they're copying us kind of.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, wait a minute. We started wrestling at 14, 15, 16 back in the 1990s and 80s and 70s and 60s and others, because their program was a little different than ours.
Sure.
And our mentality, their goal set has not changed. Their timeline hasn't changed. They just added on to it.
Okay.
And their whole thing is, well, why do we care about, like, we just had to bi-state. We had some guys take some losses and stuff. And I'm like, who cares? I mean, it's bi-state. It's in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
I don't know of any of those. I mean, there's probably a handful of dudes that maybe ranked in the top 100 in the country.
Sure.
Out of all the guys that did well, I'm like, my wife's like, oh, they're so good. I'm like, no, they're good. Don't get me, they're good.
Yep.
But none of those dudes won a world medal last year in freestyle.
Right.
None of those dudes are on any of the ranked top national teams in the country.
Right.
None of those dudes smoke showed at Super 32 or Journeyman.
Right.
So they're pretty good, and they may be the best in the world, but they're not even trying to be the best in the world. So I respect these athletes, but I'm like over here giving them a golf clap, nice job, but some of the parents are like, oh, he's so good. I'm like, listen here.
Calm down.
Just calm down, relax.
Right.
I'll get excited when they're shaving a beard, and they're driving a car, and they're 24, 26, 20 years old, and they're weighing in at World Team Trials, Olympic Trials.
Sure.
If that happens, then I'll start paying attention to them.
Yeah.
Until then, we're all saying, hey, get up, big guy, try it again next time, or go in it again next time. Until then, it's all training to me, you know, so I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's where, you know, with the Greco thing, overseas, what they did was this, is they said, the Americans are training so young, and they got cool singlets. So we had all these, I don't know if you've been overseas. Have you been overseas?
I personally haven't. Liam has.
But Liam has.
Yeah, Liam has.
Well, he knows what I'm not sure when he kind of started going overseas, but it wasn't probably when Liam started, probably maybe 5-7 years ago, you started going overseas. People are like, oh, I want, because about 10 years ago, like subliminal singlets, you know, those cool singlets, the sub-dice singlets, whatever, you know, our singlets started coming in. There was, you know, personalized singlets.
Yep.
Was a big thing. We'd go overseas, and them guys still had the head reversals.
Yep.
You know, and they're like, oh, man, I got to have those. So now they got those.
Yep.
You know, and so they're copying a lot of stuff we're doing. But that way. And they said, wait a minute. Them guys are coming over here at 14 and just smoking us. And they know nothing about Greco and freestyle.
Right.
And so they said, what's different? It says, oh, they're starting younger.
Yeah.
And so what they're doing now is they're starting younger.
You can see it in the videos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so now the Russians and Iranians and Turkey and some of their Far Eastern bloc countries, they always did start young.
Sure. Yeah.
They always did start young.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, but they haven't really changed their ways. But a lot of the more the Americanized is, you know, like either those socialist countries, like, you know, like Sweden and Denmark and like that, they're starting younger now. And now they're getting good, you know, so we're going to have more trouble with those guys at the cadet level. Yeah. That's what our conversation, like, people like, well, why was you good at cadets and suck in juniors and seniors? I'm like, well, because if you look at it, if you look at the time, I know I'm not on video here, but I have a graphic I seen sometimes. Sorry, just minute.
Yeah.
It's a video. It's like a graph of like, okay, if we put an X amount of hours between 10 and 15, and our counterparts putting in half that time, obviously we're going to be better, no matter what the sport is.
Right.
And then all of a sudden between 15 and 20, we put in almost no hours in Greco, and they put in 10 times as much hours. Guess what's going to happen?
Sure.
You know, so you have that growth there. It's a whole different thing. But yeah, so with our Greco, what's going on is this is a huge one. Why we had Greco successful in the 80s and 90s and not now. And it goes back to what I was just talking on. And I'll tie it back into the coaching situation at the end real quick. The best I can. In the 80s and 90s, folk style and freestyle were a lot more relatable in style of wrestling.
Okay.
When I went to training and I went to practices, freestyle was always it was almost seamless between freestyle and folk style.
Okay.
We could do figure fours and scissors and on the body and freestyle and folk style and all that freestyle. We do now we can't do anything in folk style. Freestyle, do they ban scissoring or something? Or it's something that
you gotta have an arm,
they can't do.
All that stuff, yeah.
No, freestyle, you can't scissor the body at all or scissor your legs. You can't scissor your legs at all or something. So in folk style, you can't do it now. You can't figure four the body, I don't think, right? You can't scissor the body.
Yep.
So both sports have adapted throughout the years for whatever reasons. And what had happened in the 80s and 90s, and especially the 80s and early 90s, was most kids, like 99.9% of athletes, only wrestled maybe junior high and high school wrestling, folk style.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then they would, and if they had any wrestling experience, typically outside that was freestyle.
Yeah.
Freestyle training was more prevalent then. And so then it was kind of like 50-50. Like you didn't have no folk style tournaments in the summer. Right. In fact, that's actually probably a 2000s thing, late 2000s thing.
Yep.
Or the fall. And so then in the 90s, that kind of kept on going on because everybody wrestled free. If you want to wrestle extra after high school season, when I was a kid, it was all freestyle.
Yeah. Yep.
There was no folk style. In fact, it was limited, and then it was a teensy bit of Greco. And then then you get to late 90s. Now you got that, and now there's more folk style, and they're pushing the youth clubs, and people are really trying to copy the colleges, kind of like all sports do more is better.
Yeah.
And then what happened in the late 90s, 2000s, private clubs started popping up. Late 90s in other states, early 2000s in Wisconsin.
Yep.
And then when private clubs started popping up, you had year-round training. Well, what did they focus on? Well, they want to make money.
Yep.
They're going to pay rent and heat bill and pay for cool T-shirts. That's got to be folk style. That's got to be folk style because parents want to sit in the stands and watch their kids be at folk style. So they start training folk style year-round. Well, what's the best way to make money in a private league sport? The best way to make private league sport is to have a 1 day a week. The best way, and if anybody, and I'm sure you've had plenty of people that run private clubs.
Yep.
The number one way to make the most amount of money in athletics is to have a 1 day a week training, and then run like a competition within the club or within other clubs in the area.
Sure.
That's the number one way because one, you have limited amount of contact with the least amount of overhead. To train an athlete you can charge them a lot per hour.
Yep.
And then two, you can have a controlled competition of success like they do in high school with conferences and stuff like that.
Yep.
with parity. And that's the number one way to make a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
It's also a horrible way to make a good athlete. So then what ended up happening is, other clubs are doing more, 3, 4, 5, 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden Super 32 popped up and Journeyman popped up and the BCEs popped up. And now there's so many folks, people are wrestling over, it was you're talking in our days, 25, 30 matches, what I thought is kind of excessive. I thought it was excessive then.
Total, yeah.
Now you're talking 50, 60 matches in high school season, much less hundreds for the year.
Yeah.
And then, so it's all folk style. And so now, you can't, there's only 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. So then what takes the back seat? Freestyle, because there's no money in it in the United States. Folk, Greco, so we're not even talking about Greco yet. We're not even talking about Greco.
Not even talking about Greco yet.
Yeah. So that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Okay.
And in Wisconsin, when's the highest population of athletes in Wisconsin? When do you? I mean, you probably know the answer. You probably can answer this. Yep. When was the highest population of wrestlers in Wisconsin? What year? What decade?
Oh, what decade? Oh,
yeah,
probably.
You think it was number one?
Early 2000s.
The highest there was over 20. I think it was 20,000 athletes in Wisconsin for high school wrestling in 1975 or something.
70s? Holy cow!
So then it peaked in the 70s, mid 70s, and it extremely dropped since then. And now we're at the lowest possible.
Really?
We're at the lowest now. Yeah, we've never been completely close to it.
So, and I'm gonna let you talk on this in a second because I actually gotta hit the bathroom quick. But anyways, so is that because? And I talked about this with someone else the other day. Is that because of how specialized athletes are getting now that other parents and their athletes or their children where they don't want to have to compete like that. So is it becoming so selective because the training is so selective now and not everybody either has the time or the money for it? So you only see the select few amount of kids or athletes that are coming through the system because parents are pulling their kids out?
Well, you're talking like the peak of athletics for wrestling numbers in high school wrestling.
Yeah.
Were in the 70s. It was like close to 20,000. It was over 20. I think it was over 20,000. So you're talking the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Not a whole lot changed, I don't think.
Keep going for a second.
Changed. I mean, I don't think maybe he did, but so I don't know. I don't know what changed that dynamic there with that. Why it peaked and went down so fast. I mean, I don't think it's like if you said today, I would say, well, yeah, kids now have a lot more options for video games and all this stuff. Maybe it was technical advancement in people's lives where in the 70s they had less things to do, so they wrestled after high school practice, and there wasn't soccer available, there wasn't football or baseball or whatever, basketball available. Yeah. So in the 70s, I don't know why it peaked so high and it peaked. If you watched it, my old wrestling coach Greco had this thing. It's like it was kind of like whatever in the 50s to 60s, and then also in the 70s it ramped up to a crazy high number and it immediately dropped down. So
that's weird.
We stayed around like the 10 to 15,000 mark for the longest time, and then slowly been going down and down. So with that, we're like 5,000 or 6,000 right now.
Was there back then? Was it just
I have no idea why.
And you're talking about just a general athlete number. You're not talking about one specific sport. You're just talking about athletes in general.
I'm talking about wrestling. I'm just talking about wrestling.
Oh, just wrestling? Wow.
Just wrestling.
Okay. So if I think about,
less than half. That's less than half. It's a third almost where that is. Almost a quarter.
Yeah. And that's just over a quarter. I mean, we're talking half a century that's kind of taking place.
So I don't know if it's school closures. I don't know if it's school closures and the high schools dropping wrestling.
Sure.
Because people talk about how popular folk style is. Well, it's popular right here, right in the United States. It's popular in Wisconsin. A lot of states don't. There are states that don't even have high school wrestling.
So that's true.
Remember that. That's true. So when I talk to wrestling people, and there's a few out there that are super highly educated and super highly uber successful.
Yeah.
Even then I listen to them talk, I'm like, what? And I'm like, yeah, what? Maybe you're just trying to sell. Maybe you're just trying to sell me positive. I mean, wrestling's got a long way because we have shrunk so much to get back to where we were.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, because what's the first sport to get dropped?
Oh, it's always wrestling. Always wrestling.
Dude, you go to division. They got division. We have Division I programs.
Yep.
That are highly successful.
Yeah.
At the NCAA Division I program level and international level.
Stanford.
And they're like, we're 5 pennies short. What do you do?
Yep.
Drop right.
Cut it.
We're gonna keep the basketball program that hasn't won a game in 20 years.
Yeah.
But they sell 1 million seats.
Right. So we can give those guys more money.
So yeah. But then but they are bringing programs on. You see programs getting started up. You see one program getting started up. So yeah. So maybe in the 70s, I would like to go back and look at the two charts. How many wrestling programs were there at the height of that number in the 70s, and then have another chart to lay over it and say how many athletes were there. So I would make more sense that we probably had the highest amount of wrestling coaches and programs in Wisconsin in high school in that time frame. There was the highest population of athletes weighing in.
Okay. Yep.
Also, and I just thought about this. I don't know. I bet you this too. We went to 3 divisions. The numbers didn't pick up at all.
No. And I don't.
When we were 1 division, we had the highest population of athletes.
So I guess
I don't know.
I've always wondered about the chopping up divisions and stuff like that. But that's not Greco. That's just a wrestling in general. But
I think that leads into Greco's problem as well.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, you start. So what happened is with high school sports is literally, this is where some club coaches really don't like me well, they say that, but I think they're on drugs because I think they don't know what they're doing. They're part of the problem.
Right.
Is that or not problem for me, but just part of what's going on is high school wrestling is literally an extension of the school day. It is something for kids to do for that hour and a half. It's precisely at 3:30 to 5:30 for a reason, because their mom and dad are at work. That's why it's there. It's not before school, is it? No, they have practice.
Weightlifting.
You guys before 2 days, but it's only an extracurricular. It's literally an extra. It's not a thing. Now people try to make it into this, and it's really start getting in trouble. That's why coaches get fired.
Yeah,
they have all these rules, right? Wait, in Wisconsin, not all states, all states. I mean, go look at the cheese tech. There's not a single school in the dual schedule, is there?
Yes.
To do me.
There are. What do you mean as far as like teams from
in the Cheesehead?
Yeah.
In the Cheesehead, there's a dual meet tournament. There's a high school.
Oh no, it's not a dual meet tournament. No, it's individual still, but it's team.
No. The Cheesehead on Friday night and Friday day at Cheesehead is a dual meet tournament.
Oh,
before the individual tournament.
I think so, but I think it's like kind of under that. Like, there's no. I don't think there's like a. They don't have like a win. I guess I've never paid attention to that portion of it.
There's Cleaver posted a picture of all the schools.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're having a dual meet tournament before, like, they're gonna have like
before the individual,
whatever, right? No, yeah, they're gonna have a dual. You're gonna have duels before the individual tournament, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, they're having dual meet matches. Right, I'll pull the picture up.
Yeah, pull it up.
There's a dual.
I'm gonna pull it up too here.
I gotta pull my pictures up. I screenshot it because I'm gonna make a post about this to wake up these high school people. Illinois Batman presents Cheesehead Duels, round 1, round 2, round 3, January, Thursday, 5th.
Yes.
You have Southeast Polk. You have Lockhart, Illinois. You have I can't read that one.
Like
Arizona. You have Simley. You have Lockport. Oh, that's all things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
where does it say about duels? Like, I know last year there's some teams that got together, like kind of like at the middle school.
No, they're doing duels. I said.
Oh.
Here's a picture. January 5th.
What?
Cheesehead Duels. They're doing round. There's doing 2 rounds.
Oh, that okay. Because not every team's going to be in it.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah. Not every team.
Why? Good enough. Come on. They're not good enough.
But it's
I'm trying to tell you, in Wisconsin, Wisconsin now.
Yeah.
Is that, and generally throughout the country that have wrestling, that high school isn't meant to build Olympians. It's not a part. If it's a process, if it's a system, I guess everything could be a process or system. Right. Then it's just merely a choice. It's just it's like you can choose this or you can choose that. And I'm offering another thing, but other people like me, and actually private clubs are too. They just don't know it. And so it's just that with this fact is that, like, right now when you have high school wrestling, and you have these numbers go up and down. Well, what happened was they have Division 2 and 3, 1, 2, and 3. I think what's in Nebraska got like 5 or 6.
5 or 6, something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I thought the exact thing is, wait a minute, that kid's a state champion. Like, he goes, Lucas, we have like 5 divisions.
Yeah. So I'm going to come from a Folkstaller side here. I'm going to say, okay, well, my kid's in high school wrestling, but I don't need him to be a world champion. That's not what we're looking to do. He wanted to try another sport. So I guess from a Folkstaller side, then talking to a Greco guy, where are you coming off saying that we think that just because my kid's going through a high school system that he's going to be a world beater? Where's that from? Other parents?
I think what happens is high school coaches. In fact, I know so.
Yeah.
High school coaches and private club coaches and college not college coaches. I've talked to college coaches, plenty of them. And Division I coaches, and they all agree with me. Like, I don't know why kids do 4 years of high school.
Right.
Unless you're at Simile, unless you're at Polk, if you're at a high performance, if you're going to move like Hall did and like Gable Stevenson did, and move to a high performance Folkstall high school. Yeah. What?
Yeah, that's
that's
what we
different.
did.
You can spend all 4 years if you're training. But you're training, a lot of those guys didn't train at high school.
Mm-hmm.
So that's different. I'm saying, where's that coming from?
Yeah.
Is high school coaches, there's other people in the system that I can't mention that are saying like, hey, go to high school, this is the system.
Oh,
unfortunately, like high school coaches can tell you because high school coaches, what they want to do. We talked about before, kind of like the other subjects. Yeah. Is like high school coaches want to win dual meets, they want to win conference, they want to win dual meets. High school dual meet state, the duels, high school state duels, and the individual state titles. And so the more state champions they get, the more placings they get, the more people over the club, and the more successful they are. I mean, they're only getting paid for $3,000 a year. So, I mean, it's like, okay, they're not getting paid any more money.
Yeah.
And then private clubs, folk-style private clubs want their kids in high school wrestling because it's a hell of a lot easier to win a state title in one of 3 divisions or one of 5 divisions amongst a controlled group than it is to be the best in the nation. One best to be a world team, the true national championships, and 2, one of 4 best in the world. You know? So if you're measuring, if your system of measurement of like depth of goodness or badness or development is within a controlled group of people, it's a hell of a lot easier in Arkansas or Mississippi probably than in Wisconsin.
Yeah, way. Yeah.
Now you go compare Wisconsin, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Wisconsin. I mean, there's not a single school in them dual meets.
Right.
There's not dude, we just had to buy state. Hastings came over here and they're okay at best in Minnesota. And they were just smoking kids. They destroyed the field. They came in there like they're beating the crap out of kids.
Hastings has a pretty good team this year.
They won that thing I think they won by the greatest margin ever.
Sure. Yeah, they have a good team this year. Those guys, they developed like watching them over at the Minnesota Christmas tournament. They got some tough kids out there, man. It's pretty impressive.
They got some tough kids there, and they had Minnesota and all this stuff going on there. They got good coaching, all this stuff, history, and they got tons of. The thing with Hastings is they have long history, tradition. You cannot replace, like you said before, you can't work 3 days a week and say you work 10 days a week, right? No. You can't do that. Yep. You can't take Hastings, been around for 20, 30 years, whatever it is, 40 years, 50 years probably, 60 years maybe. You can't replace that.
Right.
So they have that too. But I'm just saying, though, the problem with Greco is, especially from, let's say, and this is Wisconsin, we're good at Greco. I mean, generally, Wisconsin is pretty good at Greco.
We're pretty known for it.
And generally, now with the things doing your own folk style, freestyle hurt for a while, and that changed, and then that's gonna change again. You're gonna see that, I guarantee it. And then you're gonna see, and with Greco is like we get these kids going to folk style, and they're going to private clubs now, and they're like folk style. And obviously, the more folk style you do, you're probably be more proficient at folk style. Sure. Right. You'd be more proficient. Yep. It's really hard to be a highly successful folk styler to come over to Greco. I mean, it's easy to go different. To freestyle because freestyle is just so closely related. It's so close. Well,
Liam can attest to it.
There's not a whole lot of retooling. Now you can go to freestyle and be successful and never have to learn freestyle stuff. Like you don't have to learn back arch and back step. You don't have to learn to score 4 or 5 play moves. You don't have to have those skills.
Right.
You don't have to have it. It would be nice to have them, but you don't have to have them. In Greco, you have to have them.
Yeah.
You have to have them. And so you get these private clubs, and you have the high school coaches saying 4 years of high school, go to high school teams. And now they're like, okay, let's do more folk style, more freestyle, and make my folk style better.
Yeah.
And so now you get out of high school, so you're doing more freestyle and folk style because folk style competitions, freestyle competitions. There's no time for Greco.
Yeah.
When there was no folk style after high school season, pretty much for the most part, guys were like, I'll try freestyle, I'll try Greco, and there was no private clubs. There was like your buddies in your garage training and little things. There's more. Actually, it was more grassroots. It was a little more wholesome. It was actually probably a little more exciting because everybody's trying to figure it out.
COVID kind of brought that up too.
Not that saying we should go back to that. I'm not saying we go back to that. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying anything better.
Just that mentality.
I'm just saying Greco's main problem in the United States is the mass majority are people that want to be successful. Yeah. And they want to be successful in something very controllable and very relatable. Well, what's controllable and relatable? Well, what's ever in your area code? The conference tournament, the high school state tournament, the Bi-State, the Cheese Head, something like this. And the Cheese Head, only a select number of schools in Wisconsin go to that thing.
Yes.
Right? Because why? Because you got to be pretty dang good.
You do.
And in some schools, in fact, I was talking to my brother just now yesterday, or it's Thursday. And he's like, yeah, stupid school dropped out of Cheese Head and blah, blah, blah. I want to wrestle those guys. You know, he's like, and then he talks with this other school, like, they never go anywhere. The course they go in a state 60-0. They don't wrestle anybody, you know. And his guys got 5-6 losses. Yeah. They're going to Stampede. They're going to Stampede down Missouri. They're going to what's it called over in Iowa. Yeah. They're going to Cheesehead. They're going to some other tournament. And so these are easiest tournaments in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
You know, and we come in with 10 losses and stuff like that. So for me in Greco, in this whole up and down of like, why is the population so high in the 70s and 80s? Why is it dropped down? Why is Greco hurting? And generally, it's because of the money being made in folk style and the pushing of that narrative like folk style. Now, it's an easy sell. I mean, what would be easy? What do you think is easier to sell? The Corvette or the tractor?
Yeah.
I mean, so
tractor requires work.
Well, the thing with the Corvette right now, the folk style is it is pretty controllable. It's not the most difficult thing in the world to take a bunch of athletes to build a few state champions.
Right.
It's not very difficult to be productive in the Domi section. I mean, my brother Chad has won state titles at 2 different schools in 2 different divisions.
Yeah. Yep.
In short order. And so we talk, he goes, Chad's like, and I talk to him all the time. He's like, Lucas, come on. He goes, these other coaches just aren't dedicated. Well, we're going to talk about all this stuff.
Yeah.
He goes, it isn't very difficult. You have to do the work.
Yeah.
And he goes, in folk style, I could take it because he's a freestyle guy. He was a Greco guy, but I was kind of on the freestyle side. He loves freestyle more for some reason. He's a folk style guy, Division I guy. He was all Greco Division I college. Now he's a freestyle guy.
Yeah.
But so with that said, is like folk style. I can get a guy's wrist. We can just run around this because we can stall this thing out the third period.
Right.
And hope we get over that. And when I was a high school coach, we went to team state. I don't know how many times. I was an assistant. And we would take a guy. We would wrestle the rule set.
Yeah.
The rule set.
Yep.
And so it's just so he'd be like, no, it's much more. I could never teach these guys in a freestyle. They get destroyed.
Yeah.
They'd be tech before they knew it.
Yeah.
They don't have the ability. And folks who can stretch this out. So I'm not making fun of folk style. Just the rules are the rules. You need the advanced rules.
Yeah.
So in folk style, it's much more controllable because in the schools, your competitions are local.
Yeah.
You're wrestling other kids like-minded and pretty much, and to get better than them isn't a whole lot of extra work. And so that's why Greco's hurting because kids are like, wait a minute, I'm so successful in this folk style thing.
Yeah.
And I just keep putting more time in. There's all these competitions. Everybody's telling me I'm awesome. I got 100 takedown. I got 100 win poster.
Yeah.
I got 100 takedown poster. I got the conference title. I got the sectional, regional, state titles. I got the state title. As what the Chief said, I went to bi-state. I'm going to go mid-states or Northern Plains.
Yeah.
And I beat so-and-so from Minnesota and blah. This kid's ranked. He's got these rankings. We have rankings in Wisconsin. All these rankings. So I'm trying to beat ranked, which is great. I think it's important. But there's much more. There's much more things that build the sport of folk style in the United States, and it's all positive stuff for folks.
Right.
I would say never. I'm not saying I'm mad at. I'm jealous. I'm like that's what we need for Greco. What we need some of that sort, but I think we have to do it. But that's what's hurting Greco, and it's kind of hurting freestyle a little bit as well. And that's why I think you'll see a downturn in freestyle in the next 10 years. But you could, and that's just a thought because what's happening. I'll give you an example of that. But so that when you have the Greco, it's like, well, that's the problem. Why can't we get the guys wrestling Greco? Well, because why would so-and-so that's really good in folk style come over to Greco when he's so successful in folk style? What is the pay? What's he going to get out?
Yeah, what's a payoff?
No college coach gives a crap about it.
Yeah.
Does it help him? I'm telling it helps them. Like we tell people what helps them is doing gymnastics and learning to do a backflip. He's like, well, I'm never going to do a backflip. Just because you don't have to exactly the back, you don't have to do the backflip on the wrestling mat or on the football field, basketball court, or the wrestling or the soccer field or anything. But having that ability and the skill to do that, have your body flexible enough and the
just
fear
emotions,
factor of it. Yeah, it's all that stuff. It's like, why go to college? Because you get a higher level of education. You get more worldly. You get to be with other people that aren't from your culture. And other now, there's goods and bads. But I'm saying, what did they tell your kids why should you go to college? Well, it's much more than getting a job and getting a career. They're saying, well, you get more worldly, you get more educated, you get to run other cultures of people, you get open up your mind, you get out of small town Wisconsin or whatever. All that stuff. That's why you do those things. And so that's why when it comes to Greco, it's like, wait a minute, I'm going to go get my ass kicked in Greco and drop on my head and maybe concussed and maybe get paralyzed. Yeah. And where I can just wrestle folk style where I know I can't get slammed. Nothing bad can happen in folk style. And facts are facts.
And it
nothing bad is happening to anybody in folk style.
Right. It doesn't help the sport either when you have guys that are walking around saying like, this guy's fucking terrible or he's fucking stupid or when you got guys out there, and I mean, we don't need to name names or whatever, but we obviously know we talked to someone recently that said that you're horrible. Like, at what point are you helping any type of sport when you're walking around telling other people that a wrestling coach or whatever is horrible? Now, everybody has their own opinions, but this wasn't really based off of, I don't think it was based off of personality necessarily, because I don't think the person knows you. So that's
I never talked to the guy.
Yeah,
I don't know what he said. I've had I've had several athletes reach out to me and they're laughing about it. And
I laughed about it. I was there.
The context.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand the context because if you're talking about folk style, I don't like. We've had. Is it a success thing? Is it a kind of like a successive athletes thing or what?
The only thing I can think of is that, personalities and just a way a personality is, and this personality is a successful personality, and then people.
Well, I know that, but I don't know how my name would come in any conversation with this person because they have nothing to do in my world.
And that's the thing.
That's like me talking.
I was sitting there and I couldn't understand it. Yeah, I was sitting there and I had no reason. I couldn't even think of the reason why it was brought up. That's why I laughed throughout the whole thing when he said it, because I was just like, "What are you talking about? Like, we're not even talking about Greco."
Well,
so you have someone's attention. You're doing something right. I mean,
well, I'm gonna tell you something right now. I don't know if the word horrible is put to the fact that I'm a horrible person, like not nice, or if it's horrible coach.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both could be 100% true. It could be 100% true. Unfortunately, we accidentally have. Unfortunately for that statement, I mean. A horrible person could be a lot. I mean, that's probably is true. I don't know. But the coach, maybe a horrible coach. I don't know. Maybe I'm a horrible coach.
Here's where I sit with it. Where I sit with it.
I don't know. I can't even imagine it. Now I can see them saying all kinds of stuff, but I don't know. Whatever. It's what is like a horrible coach. Horrible. Yeah, it could be. I mean, I'm probably a horrible coach.
So, and I didn't.
Yeah, that's why we're stamping passports.
I didn't get to roll into this when he said it. So when he said it, I wanted to say out loud that. You don't understand that he's actually showing these kids who are in high school wrestling at the same time as coming to your program. He's integrating these Greco moves into folk style. Like he's breaking off to the side with these kids and saying, look, you guys could use this at your high school duels. You can take this and use this here.
Oh, if he's talking about like coaching Greco year round maybe or something.
I don't know. He didn't even dive into it. He just made a comment that didn't really sound too good while it was on air, so it was one of those things where I don't know where it came from. I think maybe we started talking about his international experience.
Yeah. Here's the facts. One, I've never talked to this person. I can guarantee you two things. I've never had more than maybe a nod or hi and goodbye to a human being.
Right.
Two, two, he has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to what we do.
Right.
Because nobody's doing what we're doing.
Yep.
We're wrestling. We're wrestling. We're wrestling, right?
Correct. Yep.
But nobody does. Nobody does. I mean, like my Zach Dominguez does. Brandon Paulson knows what we're doing.
Yep.
My athletes know what we're doing.
Yep. That's because they send guys to
you. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. So, yeah. that horrible thing. Yeah, I'm probably a horrible person. I could go off on this all day because it's so ludicrous. It's like,
yeah, I laughed at it.
I mean, maybe if he goes, hey, this guy's an asshole.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, so what? Everybody thinks I'm an asshole. I'm not here to be your butt.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I ain't looking to make any new friends.
Right.
I'm not looking to make any friends. Two, yeah, well, okay, I'm an asshole, but who cares?
Who cares?
What they're doing over there is no. I have no impact on them. They have no impact on me. Because I mean, unless they wrestle a Greco-Roman match or something,
I thought it was a promo. I thought it was a promo for you. That's what I thought. That's why I laughed at it so much.
I don't get it. It makes no sense at all. Anybody that heard that could say, well, Lucas is an asshole,
Yeah. Well, we know that already.
Well,
give us some news. But
yeah, give me something new.
So
yeah, whatever. Here's what I'll say about that. Here's
go for it.
When was this done? Like a couple weeks ago or something?
Yeah, I was on a podcast a couple weeks ago, and I don't want to, because obviously we're not going to bring up names. I just think it's interesting that it was brought up out of nowhere with someone that I talked to this person too, and I never even like your name was ever brought up ever in any other conversation before. And then all of a sudden, boom, live podcast. And it's like, this guy is an asshole or whatever it is. And I just, like I said, I was just laughing. I was like, I don't even know. I don't even know what this has to do with it.
I'm only an asshole to people that see the label. When you call somebody a name, it's from your perspective of the time.
Correct.
A lot of times because out of their frustration. It's out of that individual frustration.
Sure.
So it's whatever. But here's what I'm going to tell. So, it's a very timely comment. Funny how you say that because it's very timely when it came up. Because it's a very special time of year, and like I don't celebrate the holidays. My wife and kids do. I mean, I'm a part of it because I think it's cool. But
yeah.
I never have. But to somebody like that, to him, and to somebody like that, the best thing to do with people like that is really just like, well, I don't, I don't understand it at all, but, it's like, it's like, it's the time of year. So it's like, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, really, honestly, that I hope it's something that it's like, I hope his family's healthy, hope his kids are healthy. I don't know if he has any kids, or I don't even know him that well.
Right.
I don't know anything about him. I know he's married probably, right? So he's probably got a wife,
couple kids,
my wife and kids.
Yep.
Huh?
Got a couple kids.
So I hope they're all healthy. I hope I got a brother. He maybe has some sisters and a mom and dad. I hope I gave him a Merry Christmas. I gave him Happy Holidays. He celebrates that stuff.
Yeah.
I hope it's a great it's New Year's Day, right? New Year's
Eve day.
Yeah. So I hope him Happy New Year's. I hope the number one thing that's important to people is their family and health of their family. So it's like,
yeah, definitely.
Not everybody. Like, I hope his family is doing amazing. I hope him a Happy New Year. I hope he had a great Christmas.
Yeah.
And because not everybody has that stuff,
Right.
And so sometimes, people just need to be told, like, hey, man, it's okay. I hope your life's doing great.
Yep.
Don't know you from Adam, but still, you want everybody, even the people that you argue with or don't argue with, or don't like, dislike, whatever, disagree with.
Yep.
You hope to have those people, especially people like that. Nothing for me, it's like, when I see people like that, and I get those certain situations, I'm like, I leave those situations, conversation or argument or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, I hope they have a great life. Oh, everything's good for them, really. I hope really in the background, everything is great.
Yeah.
Everybody's healthy.
Yep.
And they have a great life. So really, all I have to say to that is Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and I hope I'm nothing but the best.
Oh, and I think you and I kind of mentioned too, it could have been just because of the whole high school sports thing and whatever being pissy about, but it's just a very random, very, very kind of different.
Let's talk about here's talk about this. We can, I'll jump, let's finish with the Greco thing. So I'm going to talk about the women's freestyle for a little bit. That stuff. But like my job in Greco-Roman wrestling is to want to be successful. I mean, obviously I was coaching soccer and want to be successful in soccer.
Yep.
So let's talk about soccer. What do soccer coaches do? Do they say, hey, go play high school soccer and I'll see you next spring or fall or whatever the hell that is?
Nope.
Do they do that?
Nope.
Or do they say, no, I want you to play on my private league team and travel all in the goddamn country?
Yes, they do, because I did that.
Okay. And it costs a shit ton of money. If anything, wrestling's the cheapest sport. Don't you think wrestling's the cheapest
Wrestling
sport?
is by far. Yes, by far the cheapest.
Financially.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially because we have the high school system,
Correct.
Which is great. And we talked about that thing before. It's like, yes, I've never said get rid of folk style. There's a lot of Greco people and freestyle people.
Yep.
A lot of freestyle people saying, get rid of folk style in college. Get rid of folk style. Get rid of folk style. I have never said that. I've never would say that. I would never would. That'd be like, it's like just like the system we just talked about.
Yep.
I don't ever talk like that about other people as coaches and stuff. Like, blah, 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 or programs. I'm like, well, I'm doing this.
Yep.
I think I'm just promoting me. I just
doing your own thing.
I'm the best. What I'm doing, I think I'm the best there is, right? It may not be, but I think I am. I think we're doing. I'm gonna do whatever I got to do to make sure I'm the best I am doing.
Yep.
Doing what I'm doing. Now, when it comes to this high school wrestling, we have to have high school wrestling. We have to have it. If there was more high school folk style programs, that gives me an opportunity to pull one kid out of one of those high schools, full-time Greco, women's freestyle.
Yep.
So more folk style means more Greco.
Yeah.
More folk style means more women's freestyle. Now, the year-round thing affects us, but if there's a higher population of high school athletes, I could be like, you got to introduce the wrestling and wrestling in general.
Yeah. Yep.
That helps me find those dudes that are like, you know what, I like that throwing thing. And obviously the backflip in gymnastics sells gymnastics. Nobody sees the 1,000 V-ups they do on the rope after practice.
Right.
But they see the backflip, right?
Yep.
So when they come to practice now, and we get them sold on Greco, then we start doing the 1,000 V-ups they got to do what nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah.
Or the crap we got to do actually in Greco to make them good.
Yeah.
The torturous training that nobody wants to talk about because it's so horrendous. So it's just like, so that's why you can't get rid of folk style wrestling. So I'm saying that freestyle thing is saying get rid of it.
Yep.
So I'm not saying that. In college, I'm saying keep it folk style. Where does that? The girls in freestyle, I like it. It's there. I can stay there.
Yeah.
I think women's freestyle. This Wick mom, this kid went to Wisconsin.
Yep.
Was talking to me on Twitter one time. She said, "What do you think we should? What we think we should do for women's freestyle in high school?" I says, "Leave it folk style."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Why?" I'm like, well, why would we change it? And she goes, first of all, these high schools don't have no money, right?
Right, correct.
No money.
Yes.
So they're not going to hire another coach.
Yep.
and to think to already think we're going to pay this guy $3,000 or $4,000 a year to coach the boys and the girls, no matter if it's folk style, freestyle, or whatever, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
you don't see that happening in basketball.
Well, what were you saying? 80,000 for the Greco-Roman head coach for the country. You know, like you gotta.
Well, it's 100 for the head and like 80 for the second, which in Colorado is like $30,000 in Wisconsin.
That's what you're saying, yeah. So you're picking up, you're moving out there, and things like, and even with the high school too. I mean, the high school is going to expect people to be in that area, you know, at least somewhat close. Yeah. You know, so
I am
hand in hand.
Look what happened. They started high school wrestling in Wisconsin, right? Women's, boom, more girls, boom. Why? Because it's right down the hallway. They're in school to get out of social studies to go out to high school practice. Mm-hmm. You know, hopefully have their own nice facility. And I can talk about the guys in high school. But anyway, so what that said is, so they have high school wrestling. Now they can say, well, how do I get to be like Macy Kilty, Kelly Welker, and how do I get to be like all these other good girls in the country and around the world? Yeah. Well, this is what we got to do if we want to be like the really good soccer player: is quit high school soccer, quit high school wrestling, quit high school softball, like every other sport in the country, even in high school football now, they're saying, we want to pull you out of that system about 14, 15, 16, and by right about your puberty date and start training you privately. Because Brad, if you came to me and you said, or if I came to you, Brad, and said, hey, Brad, what's the best way to learn something? What's the best way to get good at this? And you told me, hey, this is the best way to catch a fish. Yep. This is the best way to hunt a deer. This is the best way to do a podcast. And I said, screw that. I'm going to do it another way.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yep.
But when the best girls in the world and the best girls in the United States are most successful women in the United States bypass high school, bypass college.
Yep.
You know?
You're seeing it a lot.
And then so... Yeah, I mean, now there's some really good ones going to college and stuff, you know, but there's some that came out of college. Mm-hmm. But when you talk about comparing to Japan, when they're 18 and 19 and they're winning 4 Olympic gold medals and they're winning all these, the girls are winning U23, they're winning juniors, U23, and senior world medals, golds. Yep. You're like, why can't we do that? Because you're in goddamn high school. Yeah. Wrestling is such a entry level. Now, maybe you got to start there. Maybe you just started, so you got to stay there. You don't want to be pulled out. You can't pull out everybody. Yeah. But there's certain athletes that have been experienced and at a point in their career and juncture that they should be pulled out.
Yeah.
I can think of 10 folk stars right now that should not be in high school wrestling. Yeah. In Wisconsin, they should be in folk style wrestling and they should be wrestling folk style, but they should be doing like for me, I would have to do it. It's kind of hard for folk style, but I think they should be doing Super 32, Journeyman, the college opens. Take a couple months off your train, travel all around the country, train the best RTC with college kids. Come back in the spring, hit the postseason folk style big tournaments, hit world team trials, hit Fargo, hit some international stuff. Yep. That's what I would. If I had a kid to come to me and says, Lucas, I love folk style. I'm gonna do folk style, and all I want to do is train folk style. I'm gonna be a 4-time. I'm gonna be all this. I'm gonna be this. Yeah. I would say we're gonna do a Greco, but in folk style. I would pull them out of high school wrestling. I would, they'd have to be good enough and have the money. Yeah. I was gonna say, you'd have to. You just can't just do it. Right. I get the right clientele. I do Journeyman, Super 32. I would do the college opens. I was able to do. I would do Midlands. Yep. I do Midlands. I would take a Christmas break. I would come back and say whatever January. I would go to the OTC. I'd go to RTCs because you can go down if you're not in high school wrestling. You can go to any RTC you want. Yep. Any RTC you want, and then you can go to. Then I would get ready for. Maybe go international for international freestyle or Greco. Maybe Greco. Mm-hmm, and then we could go. Then we go postseason folk style tournaments with the big guys. Journeyman again. Yep. Freestyle version. Yep. And then you have U.S. Open. You have world team trials. You have the duels. You want to do those or Northern Plains or blah, blah, blah. And you have Fargo. That's what I would do if I had a guy that says, I want to be the best folk style. Now the guy says, well, I'm not talking about taking Timmy Two Toes and just seeing a half Nelson. I'm talking about a dude that's like won a state title. He's been in the finals twice. He's just smashing people. Yeah, yeah. It's like he's downgrading. And usually you see that after 16 years old. About 16 athletes start to downgrade in high school wrestling. Well, and it's because they become the big fish in a pond, and I think that there's good wrestling in Wisconsin. I'm just saying, how do you get better? How do you get better than the best? Right. You've got to do something. You can't always just do more. You just can't always do more. There's only so many hours in a day, so many days a week. I think that goes something different, more productive. I think that goes hand in hand though too with how we've seen how 4-year colleges in general, and like how people view just education, we'll put. So like forever, like when I was young, when you were young, your parents are like 4-year college, you got to go to college. Or your friends' parents are saying it. You got to go to college. You got to go to college.
And people did that. So kids were striving to do that, to get into college forever,
Yeah.
you know. And no one was pushing technical colleges. No one was saying, hey, maybe you might be good at your own business. You might be able to do your own thing. I saw you working with dad doing this. You might be able to do this. Now you see the little bit more of that, of the, well, you don't have to go to a 4-year college kind of thing. The mentality in parents nowadays with just the education, that was extremely slow to happen. Like that was not,
I think COVID jumped
overnight, you know, and that's the big thing. Like we talked to Liam now, like you were saying, you know, about kids that probably shouldn't, you know, if they wanted to be really successful worldwise, they should be doing, you know, this, that, and the other thing. Well, you know, that kind of, I think we see people doing it in small steps and expecting the big results. So they're you know, they're like, we sent Liam to Estonia, and then, you know, now he's talking about possibly wanting to go to college overseas, you know, because he wants to wrestle internationally over there. Ever since being in Estonia, it's opened his eyes a little bit more to certain things. So I think as we go along, it's hard to say with athletics, because parents, and just watching it this weekend, I went to that Sawdust Nationals in Appleton.
Yeah,
that was scary. That was, I tell you, to watch some of the parents' reactions.
Or what?
What's that?
Parent reactions?
Yeah, parent reactions were pretty bad. And again, I talked to Christina about it, as far as just how we treat our kids, as far as with sports, and the kids are the product of their homes. The kids have the thought process that was given to them by their parents. And unfortunately, some of their parents listen to really stupid people. So they don't go out and try to discover another opinion, or they don't try to talk to someone who's specialized in something. And I think that I'm a firm believer that with the specialization of sports nowadays, with people only doing one thing, only doing this thing, is great. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, all these people saying that you should be in football, you should be in baseball. If that's what your kid wants to do, that's awesome. If he is like, I'd love to play it, that's great. But you can't expect your kid to be great at 3 sports. You know, that's just the thing. So if your kid has an aspiration of like, well, I'd really like to wrestle, and you're the one saying, you know, don't bitch about the coaching, because those are the parents that are bitching about the coaching. Those are the other coaches that are like, well, you're not letting him come by me enough, and that's why he's sitting on the, you know, that all rolls into all this garbage. Opportunity is given at the wrong angle. It's not sold correctly as far as opportunity goes nowadays, because we're so new to this specialized thing. And I think it's hard for people to see the reality of, hey, it's okay if your kid just wants to do this one thing. It's all right. Like, they're only going to do it until their late 20s anyways. And by then they can figure out for themselves if they want to figure out their education and stuff. Like, they're not dumb right now. They went through elementary school. They went through middle school. They got through maybe part of high school. They could still read and write. And there's programs like you guys, Kale and those guys had a program where, you know, you went down, you probably did education for a couple hours a day to practice, things like that. These guys that are specializing, and coaches that are specializing, they understand that these kids still need an education if they want to get an education. They're not completely stupid, you know? And
like all of our guys, they have left early. I got to tell about that a little bit, how we choose which athletes we pull out or try to sell. I mean, like we try selling guys that pull out, they don't take it.
Yep.
But we only offer to like 1 out of 20 kids.
Yep.
Like we only try selling it to like 1 out of 20 kids.
Because you know the people.
I'll talk about that in a second. But, you know, you talked about like that thing about education. Well, like, I think it's like some crazy percent, like 70 or 80 or maybe 90% of like millionaires don't become millionaires until like their 3rd business after 50 years old.
Right. Yep. Correct. And
it was like, oh, it takes so long. They said, and they actually, those people that became millionaires after 50 years old didn't start that business until 50.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's something like it's some crazy. Not saying that you should chill until 50 years old. I'm just saying, you know, it takes, you know,
right.
Not saying that. I'm just saying, you know, don't expect it by 22. You know,
totally. Well, we've been on for about an hour. I think we're going to dive into a little bit more in another episode, but. I definitely wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Greco thing with coaching, and then, you know, expounding a little bit more on what your vision is at combat.
Let me button up that college Greco things.
Go for it.
There's a lot of things left on the table here.
Mm-hmm.
One thing with the Greco thing is like, I don't know. I think what's going on is we're in the middle of a situation where we have the Olympics coming up in 2024. And I've talked to my guys pretty heavily about this, and I'm in a position now where, like I said before, the other guy that thinks I'm Adolf Hitler or something, whatever, you know, it is,
fun.
Doesn't understand. I'm a personal coach,
right?
You know, I only coach like a couple athletes personally.
Yep.
And then we run a Greco program. But those guys, we have 20 in that program. We only have like 6 guys under my name that I coach personally.
Right.
And like 2 girls.
Yep.
I don't coach massive numbers. I coach individuals, one-on-one, some long distance, some in town here.
Yep.
That's what I'm not looking. They're going to duel me.
Yep.
And so we have an issue now. It's like, hey, we have the Olympics coming up, blah, blah, blah. USA Wrestling has that same issue. We're like, it's like right around the corner.
Yep.
So if I think, first of all, financially, they must not have the money to put out there to find a suitable coach.
Sure.
Because they're not going to get anybody for $100,000 a year that's super young.
Yeah. Right.
And 2, they're like, well, they're probably thinking like, we have Herb would do a great job organizing. Mm-hmm. We have WCAP coaches. We have facilitators around the country. Yep. So I'm going up for a camp here, January 8th to the 14th. I'm going out there for a week to train.
Okay.
I was supposed to go for 2 weeks, but I just can't be going for 2 weeks. Because I have a tour coming up. So I go to OTC from the 8th to the 14th mm-hmm. with some of my athletes that are full-time Greco to work out with Alston and Benji and Peyton and whoever else, but mainly Alston, those guys. And my guys. And then we turn right around and fly to Sweden for 2 weeks and come home. Then I'm coming home. My boys are staying there.
Yeah.
My girls ain't going because my girls are all banged up.
Yep.
So that's how our schedule kind of works here. And so I think with USA Wrestling, they're like, wait a minute, we have these guys doing these things that are guys like me. We can rely on them right now. Why bring a guy in right now? We don't have the money.
Yep.
We need to get ready for the Olympics. We have to worry about other things besides Greco. I think they're worried about. I think they have more irons in the fire they can handle. So I think they're just trying to patch it up, get us through the next Olympics. Okay. Then after next Olympic cycle, hire somebody to start something totally fresh.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I could be 100% wrong. I have no idea. But the grumblings within Greco are saying that. They also are saying there's probably a financial situation where they kind of say, okay, we got to come up with some money somehow. They must just not have it right now.
It makes sense.
Because they're not getting anybody for $100,000 a year. Now, my opinion is, like in the Greco community, and I've talked to enough people in my world that say what we think they should do is totally different.
Sure.
I think hiring a facilitator like a Zadek more than a coach is what we need.
Okay.
But even Zadek's getting paid, but they're not getting Zadek's not doing it for free either. So they got to pay the money. So I think that's it. I think they're in a quagmire. I think they're going to get through. Actually, I'll be honest with you. Right now, I think we're in a real good position with. I like Herb. Herb's really, say he's great to everybody. Everybody loves Herb. Yeah, he's really good at organization and all this. He's very politically correct. All this other stuff.
Good. And
we have great coaches. We have other people in the country taking care of the athletes, which are coaching them anyways.
Yeah.
So. And so everybody knows that if you're the head coach at USA Wrestling, you can't coach. You can't coach the competition.
Right.
The only competition you can coach at is if it's international. You can't coach at World Team Trials. You can't coach at the Olympics. You only coach at the Olympics and Worlds is if the personal coach isn't there.
Sure.
So they're very limited hands-on anyways.
Right on.
They're more just facilitators and organizers. So I think right now we're going to be okay. We got to find a developmental guy, and me and all my buddies we've all talked, Zach, and I know 2 people that are highly qualified for the job. I never even applied. There's just not enough money. Not enough money.
I was gonna, and then you told me the money. I was like, no.
And I have kids. I have a house. I have kids. I have a lot of acreage. I have hunting land. I have all this stuff going on. I have things going on.
Yep.
I just can't jump up and leave it.
Pack up and leave.
And so, and me and the other 2 guys, me and the other 2 coaches talk. And they turned it down. And they said, Lucas, I wouldn't even, shoot, we were all talking like, we need at least this. I'm like, at least that,
Right.
But it's just if I was 55
Makes
or 60,
sense.
55 or 60, I would do it on the back end,
Right
That's I have to start going through some Olympic cycles, because I have things like me and everybody I talk to in the Greco world that's able to be the coach, that's coaching athletes, like, well, I want to coach my athletes.
Yeah.
And you really can't do that if you're the head coach.
Right.
So they're going to have to get somebody right. I think Herb House is the perfect pick right now because he's more of a facilitator. And he's a good coach. And he doesn't have any extremely personal athletes right now because Tracy Hancock retired. So I think we're okay. I think Greco's just fine right now.
Okay.
I think the big thing with Greco is we just need support. We don't need money is always nice, but we just need to be two things. One, be left alone.
Yep.
And 2, just support, like the nod. Like, I don't enjoy watching folks that are wrestling in high school. I can watch it in college because there's wrestling such more, it's just more intense.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
Like I can watch the Midlands and be excited because it's intense wrestling, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not calling slam calls. They're calling stalling. Guys are wrestling all over the place.
Yep.
Because I wanted to come on here and talk about the step-out rule. I wanted to talk about it. So next time we got to talk about the step-out rule.
Yeah.
That's and grounding. We got to add step-out rule in folk style. keep all the rules as they are and step out rule.
Okay.
Don't get rid of anything else. And then if folk freestyle Greco, get rid of grounding.
Okay.
Step with the X podcast.
Yep.
So I want. For me, it's more fun conversation, anyways.
Yeah.
But and then women's freestyle. I want to talk about that more because
good.
People that don't agree with me on this thing is like, dude, I know the girl that won Midlands. She's 15.
Yep.
And I talk to parents quite frequently. And I just said before, I'm like, yeah, we're not doing high school. I'm like, why would you?
Yeah.
There's no value to it.
Right.
Not
with your goals.
Give me 2 minutes here. Here. That to the club coaches that say I'm whatever I am.
Yeah.
They are the ones precipitating no high school wrestling.
Yeah.
Here. They have the P&L, for God's sake.
Yeah.
The Professional National Wrestling League, where they have their own private club league.
Yeah.
Where you have to be the private club to be in the league. That will grow into high school if they were smart. Let's go here. How many kids do you know that go to youth practice at the school and then junior high only and then high school only? They're good. No. What do? They go, well, I'm going to go to so-and-so's academy or school of wrestling or club. And then they only go there. They don't go to youth practice. Who goes to junior high in Wisconsin? Like, nobody. Like, around here they do, like 10 kids. Yeah, well, you do. Yeah. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, it's a very rare thing. Nobody's going to junior high practices.
Right.
Especially around here because there's nobody there. There's only 80 kids in the goddamn school.
That's
so they
problem.
go to private club. And what are these? I love wrestling. We want to grow wrestling. High school wrestling. We're going to grow Wisconsin wrestling club. Say, you're going to wrestle for this club.
Yep.
You're going to come to my practice 4 or 5 days a week. You're going to wear my singlet. You're going to sign up under my name at all these tournaments. Wait a minute. You love high school wrestling. You guys love high school wrestling. You love public school wrestling. You're going to promote high school wrestling.
Sure.
You're promoting it. But they're not going to wrestle for the junior high. And they're not for the youth clubs. Oh, they will a little bit. But the other time, they're going to, but youth state tournament, we signed up under your name, your club. All of them. All of them.
Yep.
And I forbid it. Even with, we do have folks, like you said, we do have folk style athletes, right?
Right.
Obviously, we have folk style athletes in our club. They're training Greco.
Yep.
And we keep, and I guarantee you, in Wisconsin, I'm the only one training them how to use Greco properly. I'm the only one training them to use the underhook properly, 2-on-1 properly, and their folk style correctly. Because I see it. I watch it all the time. Even my guys. They're wrestling Washington Bi-State.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
They only can come in once a week. That's my guys for folks out. Only make it in once, twice, every couple of weeks. They're so busy for folks out. They're so tired. And they got to drive so far. And it's like, already it's being ruined.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's completely wrong. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So it's like, so these other clubs are like, and I never let my kids step under combat in folk style. It's your high school, or it's not your high school, your junior high, or your program. You wear their singlet, they coach you. I'm the subcontractor.
Mm-hmm.
These other clubs are like, no, you're wearing this singlet. You're wearing all. I mean, I hear it from the high schoolers. I'm not naming any names.
Yep.
We had some high school kids coming for Greco for some training, and I'm like, what's going on? I thought you were training here. He goes, well, I was training there and there, but they says for me to get one-on-one time or training, I have to only be there. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, I only can wrestle for them, nobody else.
Oh my God.
I'm like, well, I guess it's a business. It's a business model. So for all the clubs, for all these guys are like,
that's dumb.
We love wrestling. We're promoting wrestling, but only under our terms is what I usually hear.
That's only under our terms. You do hear that, and it's stupid. Like if any coach, if I ever heard a coach that says you should only come here, I'll slap him in the face in the gym right there. That's the dumbest thing. It's closed-minded. You're number one. I think you think that you know everything, and you don't. You don't know everything. Yeah. So
but you gotta have support systems.
We're gonna touch on all that other stuff though on the next episode because I actually have Braxton Amos coming on next year.
Okay.
So,
you tell Braxton I said hi.
I will.
And you tell all those crazy little club coaches that are angry at me. Happy New Year. I love them all.
We love every minute with you, Lucas, and we know you love everyone.
Everybody.
Everyone. We love everyone.
We all just get along?
Can we in this new year, can we just be together and really love the sport of wrestling? I think we can. But, well, we will end it there. Thank you, Lucas, again, and we will do another episode of Terre coming up soon. I mean, there's stuff you want to talk about, and I actually have to write this shit down because otherwise I'm going to forget. So, but, well, we appreciate everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to Lucas. Tune in. There's a lot more coming up, man. Thanks. All of our episodes are brought to you by Appleton Tattoo, located at 117 South Appleton Street in Appleton, Wisconsin, right off the main drag on College Avenue. You can't miss them. I've had some work done. I have a Celtic cross that covers my back that was done by Jason. We're not done yet. Jason Winans and crew, the artists that he have there, those guys are the best in the Fox Valley. They are definitely one to go to if it's something that you've just been kind of throwing around. They'll make you feel comfortable. It's a very clean environment, very nice crew, and very willing to get done whatever you need done when you need it done. You can message them on Facebook. I know they're on Facebook. You can give them a call at 920-604-8289 and get in touch with Jason Winans and crew at Appleton Tattoo, located again in Appleton, Wisconsin at 117 South Appleton Street, right in Appleton. Very flexible hours, great crew, clean environment again. I would not send you anywhere else except for these guys. Appleton Tattoo.